Hello mga ka-learners! Teacher Carmela here! Kamusta kayo? Today, we will learn about the different ecosystems and their components. There is a saying that no man is an island. It means nobody can live alone. Everyone needs people and other living and non-living things in order to survive. This lesson is about the interaction between living and non-living things around you. After this lesson, you should be able to first differentiate among population, community, and ecosystem. Second is to identify the components of an ecosystem. And lastly is to differentiate biotic components from abiotic components of an ecosystem. The word ecosystem is split into two parts, ecological and system. Ecological refers to the relationship between a living thing and where it lives, while system is something that you do over and over. When you combine the two words, you come up with the word ecosystem. This is what a living thing usually does with its surroundings, over and over again. Everything around you makes up your environment. Your immediate surrounding is your environment. For example, in your home, your parents, brothers, sisters, friends, and relatives are the people in your environment. Dogs, cats, lizards, ants, and plants are other living things in your environment. Buildings, parks, churches, roads, gardens, and the community center are also part of your environment. What do you find in an environment? From the time you wake up in the morning until you sleep at night, you see many things. You see the things inside your house, the sun as it rises and sets, and some plants and animals. Your friends, family, and pets are living components of your environment. The living part of your environment also includes things that you do not see, such as bacteria and fungi. All these living things are part of the biotic environment. The living things in the biotic environment are also called organisms. Other than living things, do you also see non-living things in your environment? You probably see the water in a river, creek, or from the faucet. You see stones and rocks from the ground. You see the soil on the road you walk on. They are all non-living things. They are called the abiotic components of the environment. The biotic and abiotic components of the environment interact constantly with each other. The stable environment where the living and non-living things interact with one another is called an ecosystem. The branch of science that studies the relationship between organisms and their environment is called ecology. An ecosystem may be small, such as a plant in a pot, an aquarium, or an orchid on a tree. An ecosystem may be large, such as a river, forest, rice field, lake, swamp, desert, island, or even barrio or your town. Organisms can be divided into smaller groups. The smallest group an organism belongs to is called species. Species is a group of organisms that can, and normally do, produce offsprings that are capable of reproducing. We humans belong to the species Homo sapiens. Each species occupies a specific area and plays a particular role in an ecosystem. The place where species live and grow is called a habitat. For example, the sea serves as a habitat for oysters. Different species often share the same habitat. For example, a bird and a monkey may live in the same tree in a forest. Yet, these animals have different roles within their habitats. The role or function of species in its habitat is called a niche. For example, the niche a snail occupies in an aquarium is eating the waste of the fish and hence keeping its habitat clean. Organisms of the same species that live together and reproduce in a particular area at a given time is referred to as a population. Ants that live in crevices in the foot of the tree, a school of catfish in a pond, a group of banana trees in a plantation, and even a group of people living together in a barrio or city are all examples of population. Populations of different individuals that live together in the same area and depend on each other for food is called a community. For example, in an aquarium, you will find a community of fish, snails, and plants. A community in an aquarium interacts with the water, air, and sunlight, thus forming an ecosystem. Look at this photo to see how an ecosystem is formed from different levels of organization. The survival of an organism in an ecosystem depends on the delicate balance of energy, food, and other factors. For example, the production of food by green plants gives off oxygen as a byproduct. Oxygen is a gas that is needed by animals to live. Each species depends on another in several ways. Animals depend on plants for food and oxygen. Plants depend on bacteria in soil. Bacteria depend on decaying bodies of plants and animals. Different interactions in an ecosystem are shown in the picture. The abiotic components of an ecosystem. Abiotic or non-living components include light, water, air, and temperature. These factors determine the growth and survival of organisms. They limit or control populations and stimulate organisms to adapt to their environment. Here are the abiotic factors in the ecosystem. Air. Air is a mixture of gases, and nitrogen is the most abundant gas in the atmosphere. It is an important component of many organic molecules, such as proteins. Oxygen is the second most abundant gas in the atmosphere. It plays a vital role in life processes. Plants and animals need oxygen for respiration. Another important gas is carbon dioxide. The amount of water vapor in the air varies from place to place. The gas plays an important role in the water cycle. Temperature. Would strawberry farms in Baguio grow well in Bulacan? Baguio has a cool temperature, while Bulacan has a warm temperature. Temperature affects organisms. Each organism has a specific temperature requirement in order to survive. Strawberries, for instance, grow only in cold climates. Cacti, on the other hand, thrive in hot places. Each organism can only survive within a specific temperature range. If the temperature turns higher or lower than the required range, the organism will die. Soil. Can trees grow without soil? Most organisms, except fishes, need a substrate or surface on which to live. Soil provides a great substrate for most of these organisms. It contains minerals, nutrients, and organic materials needed to support life. The biotic components of an ecosystem. The biotic components are classified as follows. Producers, or also called as autotrophs. They are mostly green plants that make food from simple substances like air, water, and light energy. Consumers are also called heterotrophs. They are the large or macro consumers in an ecosystem. These are the animals that feed on plants and or other animals. Herbivores are consumers that eat only plants. Examples are horses, goats, and cows. Carnivores are consumers that eat only other animals. Examples are lions, tigers, and eagles. Omnivores are consumers that eat both plant and animals. Dogs, cats, and people are omnivores. Decomposers are also called saprophytes. They are micro-consumers. These are bacteria and fungi such as molds. They break down the complex compounds in the tissues of dead plants and animals. They absorb some of the decomposition products and release simple substances which in turn are used by plants. Let's remember, the environment refers to everything that surrounds an organism. The environment has both biotic and abiotic components. An ecosystem is made up of a community of organisms that are in constant interaction with their environment. Species is a group of organisms that can and normally reproduce offspring that are themselves capable of reproduction. The place where species lives and grows is its habitat. The role that species play in its habitat is its niche. A group of organisms of the same species living together in a particular area make up a population. A community is made up of several populations that live together in the same area and depend on each other for food. And that marks the end of our lesson. I hope that you gained new knowledge that will help you get to know different ecosystems and their components better. See you in the next lesson!